Part 2. Korean Mafia boss hired a black female bodyguard. She took down 50-plus assassins in one night. The sound of shattering glass filled the restaurant as Sarah pushed Marcus to the floor, her body covering his. Blood trickled from a cut on her cheek where glass had sliced her skin. "Stay down," she whispered, already drawing the concealed weapon from her ankle holster. Marcus grabbed her wrist, his eyes intense. "Sarah, there's something I never told you. If I don't make it..." "Don't..." She cut him off. "We're both walking out of here." Marcus pulled her closer, his voice barely audible. "The USB in my jacket pocket. It has everything, account numbers, safe houses, evidence against the council. If anything happens to me, run. Don't trust anyone from the family. Not even Leo." Sarah's eyes widened. "You've been planning for this." "I've been planning since the day I married my bodyguard and made the most powerful families in the city my enemies." 3 more bullets sprayed across the wall behind them. Sarah's expression hardened as she chambered around. "Then let me do what you hired me for," she said, eyes scanning the room. "I didn't become your wife to watch you die." Marcus touched the wedding ring on her finger. "No, you became my wife because you were the only person in this world I couldn't live without." Sarah kissed him hard, tasting blood and fear. 27 armed men just entered through the kitchen. "I count 4 snipers on adjacent rooftops," she whispered against his lips. "But they made one mistake." "What's that?" Her smile turned deadly. "They didn't bring enough men." Sarah moved like liquid shadow, pushing a table onto its side for cover. The private dining room of Lumiere had transformed from romantic anniversary dinner to war zone in seconds. Behind them, terrified restaurant patrons screamed and scrambled for the exits. "I count 3 escape routes," Sarah said, eyes calculating as she checked her weapon. "Main entrance is compromised. Kitchen's where they came from. That leaves the service corridor behind the wine cellar." Marcus pulled his own gun from his shoulder holster. "Lead the way." A figure appeared in the kitchen doorway. Sarah's weapon discharged twice. The man dropped without a sound. "That's 1, she said calmly. 26 to go," Marcus replied. Sarah tapped her earpiece. "Michael, we need extraction. South entrance, 2 minutes." "Copy that," came the crackling response. "Security team is engaging rooftop targets now." They moved in perfect synchronization, a dance practiced countless times over the past 2 years. Sarah led, Marcus covered their 6. When 2 men rushed from behind a partition, Marcus took one down while Sarah eliminated the other. "Who sent them?" Sarah asked as they crouched behind an overturned serving cart. Marcus's face was grim. "Has to be the council. This level of coordination, this many men. They've finally made their move." A voice called out from across the restaurant. "Castiano, you've disgraced the families for too long. The council has voted. Your marriage to this bodyguard has made you weak." Sarah's eyes flashed. "Sounds like Young." "Jean Young," Marcus confirmed. "Head of the Korean faction. Never approved of our marriage." "Because I'm not Korean or because I'm a woman who can outshoot his entire security team?" Despite the situation, Marcus almost smiled. "Both." More gunfire erupted, pinning them behind their meager cover. Sarah calculated angles, distances, possibilities. Her mind worked the way it always had since Special Forces training, assessing threats, finding advantages. "On my signal, break for that hallway," she said, nodding toward an alcove 20 feet away. "I'll create a diversion." "What kind of diversion?" Sarah pulled 2 small devices from her jacket pocket. "The kind that's very loud and very bright." Before Marcus could respond, she tossed the flashbangs in opposite directions. The dual explosions of sound and light disoriented their attackers. In the chaos, they sprinted for the hallway. A bullet grazed Sarah's arm. She didn't flinch. Another embedded itself in the wall inches from Marcus's head. They reached the alcove, both breathing hard. "You're hit," Marcus said, eyes on her bleeding arm. "It's nothing." Sarah was already moving again, leading them toward the wine cellar. "We have bigger problems." As if to emphasize her point, 4 armed men appeared at the end of the corridor. Sarah dropped to one knee, firing with precision. 3 fell immediately. The 4th managed to radio something before Marcus's bullet found him. "They know where we're headed," Marcus said. "Good." Sarah pushed through the heavy door into the wine cellar. "That means they'll concentrate forces there instead of where we're actually going." She moved to a rack of expensive bottles, pulling one particular vintage. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a hidden passage. "You knew this was here?" Marcus asked, surprised. "I've mapped every inch of every property you own," Sarah replied. "It's my job to know escape routes you don't even know exist." They slipped into the narrow passage just as more footsteps thundered into the wine cellar. The hidden door closed silently behind them. The passage was dark, lit only by emergency strips along the floor. It sloped downward, leading beneath the restaurant. "This connects to the old service tunnels," Sarah explained as they moved quickly through the darkness. "Prohibition era. Your grandfather had them maintained as emergency exits. My grandfather was a paranoid old man. Your grandfather was smart. Paranoia keeps people in our world alive." They emerged into a wider tunnel. The distant sound of gunfire echoed from above. "Michael," Sarah spoke into her calm change of plans. "Meet us at extraction point B in 3 minutes." "Already there, ma'am. We've neutralized the rooftop threats, but there's heavy opposition on street level." Sarah checked her weapon, counting remaining rounds. "Stay in position. We're coming to you." The service tunnel opened into an abandoned subway maintenance room. Sarah paused at the final door, listening intently before pushing it open. A black SUV waited 50 yards away, engine running, Michael standing guard beside it. "Clear?" Sarah asked. Michael nodded. "For now, but we've got vehicles converging from the north and east. 2 minutes, tops, before they find us. Then let's not be here." Sarah moved toward the SUV, eyes constantly scanning. The bullet came from nowhere. One moment Michael was standing, the next he was down, blood pooling beneath him. Sarah shoved Marcus back into the doorway just as automatic fire ripped across the empty space. "Sniper," she hissed. "Northeast rooftop, approximately 300 meters. Marcus checked Michael's pulse. "He's alive, but barely." Sarah calculated rapidly. "New plan. We can't reach the vehicle. There's a service door 30 meters south. It leads to the storm drains. We can follow them to the river." A voice boomed through a megaphone. "Castiano, there's nowhere to run. The council has spoken. Your time is over." Sarah met Marcus's eyes. In that moment, something passed between them. The silent communication of 2 people who had survived countless threats together. "Get Michael inside," she said, voice suddenly calm. Too calm. "I'll cover you." Marcus recognized that tone. "Sarah, no. Whatever you're thinking. Trust me." She pressed her hand to his cheek. "Get him inside. Then come back for me." Before he could argue, Sarah stepped into the open, firing methodically toward the sources of gunfire. The distraction worked. Marcus dragged Michael's unconscious form back through the doorway. When he returned seconds later, Sarah was crouched behind a concrete barrier, reloading. "They're trying to flank us," she said without looking up. 8 shooters minimum, plus the sniper. "Sarah, I know. It's bad." She finished reloading and met his gaze. "But I've faced worse odds. Not when they specifically came prepared to kill you." Something shifted in Sarah's expression. "What do you mean? This isn't just about me or the council's disapproval." Marcus's voice was tight. "They're using non-standard ammunition, military grade. They came specifically prepared for someone with your training." Realization dawned on Sarah's face. "They're not just trying to remove you. They want me gone too. I'm the wild card they didn't account for. You're the bodyguard who became my wife, the outsider who gained too much influence." Marcus's jaw tightened. "In their eyes, that makes you more dangerous than me." Sarah's laugh was without humor. "Then let's show them how right they are." She removed her jacket, revealing a tactical vest underneath. From concealed pockets, she produced additional magazines and what looked like a small remote detonator. "Remember those renovations at Lumiere last month?" she asked. Marcus's eyes widened slightly. "You didn't." I did. Sarah smiled grimly. Every property you frequent has been prepared for exactly this scenario. She pressed the detonator. The ground trembled as a series of controlled explosions erupted in sequence, moving away from their position toward where the attackers were concentrated. That won't stop them, Marcus said, but it will slow them down and create confusion. Now move. They made it to the service door, dragging Michael between them. The storm drain beyond was dark and damp, large enough to move through in a crouch. They followed it for what seemed like miles before finally emerging near the river's edge. Sarah checked Michael's pulse again. He's stabilizing, but he needs medical attention. Not a hospital, Marcus said immediately. They'll have people watching every emergency room in the city. I know a place. Sarah pulled out a phone, not her regular one, but a backup with an untraceable connection. She dialed quickly. Dr. Zhang. Security phrase Delta 6 Echo. We need immediate assistance. 3 passengers, 1 critical. Within 10 minutes, a nondescript van arrived. The driver, an older Asian woman with steady hands and sharp eyes, helped them load Michael inside. Your place in Queens has been compromised, she informed them as she drove. They hit it 20 minutes ago. Sarah exchanged a look with Marcus. And the penthouse? Unknown, but assume it's being watched. Take us to the warehouse, Marcus instructed. The medical facility there can handle Michael's injuries. As they drove through darkened streets, taking a circuitous route to avoid potential followers, Sarah finally addressed the question they'd both been avoiding. This wasn't a random hit. They knew exactly where we'd be. Our anniversary dinner wasn't public knowledge. Marcus's expression hardened. We have a traitor in the organization. More than one, I'd bet. Sarah cleaned the cut on her face with a medic kit from beneath the seat. This level of coordination suggests high-level access to our schedules, our security protocols. The question is who? And why now? Sarah's eyes were calculating. We've been married for 2 years. If our relationship was the issue, why wait until tonight to make their move? Marcus was silent for a long moment. Because of what's happening tomorrow. The vote, Sarah realized. Your proposal to legitimize substantial portions of the family business. If I die tonight, the modernization plan dies with me. The old guard retains control. Everything stays as it's been for 3 generations. Dr. Zhang spoke without taking her eyes off the road. There's more. Rumors in the underground say Jin Young has been meeting with the Italians. A potential alliance if he can deliver the Castiano territories. Marcus's jaw tightened. Young never had the courage to move against me directly, but with council approval. He has plausible deniability, Sarah finished. If you die in an unfortunate incident, he steps in to stabilize the situation. And my wife, the former Special Forces operator who knows too much about everyone's operations, conveniently dies alongside me. Marcus reached for her hand, squeezing it tightly. The van pulled into an underground garage beneath what appeared to be an abandoned textile warehouse. In reality, it was one of Marcus's most secure facilities, a combination of safe house, medical center, and command post. A team of security personnel and medical staff immediately surrounded the vehicle. Michael was rushed into the medical wing while Marcus and Sarah were escorted to the secure command center. Status report, Marcus demanded as they entered. Leo, his most trusted lieutenant, looked up from a bank of monitors. Relief flashed across his face before being replaced by professional composure. Thank God. When we lost contact after the initial attack, he shook his head. Casualties at Lumiere include 8 of our security team, 19 civilians. Michael is the only known wounded on our side. And the attackers? Sarah asked. 12 confirmed dead. Unknown number escaped. Leo pulled up security footage on the main screen. We're still analyzing images to identify affiliations, but preliminary assessment confirms Young's people, plus hired guns from at least 3 different contractors. Marcus paced the room, thoughts racing. I need to speak with my father immediately. Secure line. Sir. Leo hesitated. Your father's compound was attacked an hour ago. Sarah watched her husband freeze, his entire body tensing. Is he? alive but in critical condition. He's being treated at our facility in New Jersey. Marcus closed his eyes briefly, his only visible reaction to the news. When he opened them again, they were cold with focused rage. So they went after my father too. They're eliminating the entire Castiano leadership in one night. He turned to Sarah. Call Jessica. Sarah was already dialing. I've been trying since the restaurant. She's not answering. Jessica, Sarah's best friend. The only person outside the organization who had stood by them from the beginning. If they were targeting everyone connected to Marcus and Sarah, dispatch a team to her apartment immediately, Marcus ordered. Leo nodded, relaying the command to security personnel. The command center hummed with activity as Marcus's organization mobilized in response to the attacks. Sarah pulled Marcus aside, speaking low enough that only he could hear. This is coordinated across multiple fronts. They're not just trying to kill us. They're dismantling every support structure we have, isolating us. I know. Marcus's expression was grim. The question is how far up this goes. Who on the council authorized a hit of this magnitude? Assume all of them, Sarah said bluntly. We need to go to ground, regroup, identify who we can still trust. Marcus shook his head. If I disappear now, they win. The vote happens tomorrow with or without me. Everything I've built, everything we've planned for the future of this organization, it all collapses. If you're dead, it definitely collapses, Sarah countered, frustration edging into her voice. Sometimes strategic retreat is the only option. Their argument was interrupted by Leo. Sir, we've got an incoming transmission. It's being routed through multiple proxies, but it's from Jean Young. Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. Put it through, Marcus said. Audio only. No video. A voice filled the command center, smooth and cultured with the barest hint of a Korean accent. Marcus, I'm pleased you survived our little greeting, though I confess some disappointment in my team's effectiveness. Jean. Marcus's voice revealed nothing of his emotions. This is a surprisingly bold move for someone who's always preferred to work from the shadows. A soft chuckle came through the speakers. Sometimes evolution requires dramatic steps. The council has voted, Marcus. Your time is over. Your marriage to that bodyguard. It was the final confirmation of how far you've fallen from our traditions, from your duties. Sarah's hand moved instinctively to her weapon, though the threat was miles away. The council doesn't have the authority to order a hit on a family head, Marcus replied coldly. That requires unanimous consent from all 5 families. Circumstances change. Your father's unfortunate medical emergency left a power vacuum. One the council felt needed immediate attention. Marcus's knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the console. My father is still alive. For now, though I understand his prognosis is uncertain. Jin's voice dripped with false concern. Regardless, the decision has been made. By this time tomorrow, the Castiano family will have new leadership. The only question that remains is whether you and your wife will be alive to witness it. Is this the part where you offer me a deal? Marcus asked, his tone deceptively casual. My life in exchange for what? Stepping down quietly? Exile? Nothing so generous, I'm afraid. This is merely a courtesy call. Professional respect for a worthy opponent. If I'm such a worthy opponent, why not face me directly? Or are you too much of a coward to handle your own assassinations? The line was silent for a moment. When Jean spoke again, his voice had hardened. Always so arrogant, Marcus. Even now, cornered and outnumbered, you still believe yourself untouchable. Not untouchable, Marcus corrected. Just better prepared than you realize. Another pause. Your wife, the famous bodyguard who took down 50 assassins in one night. Is she there with you? Sarah stepped forward. I'm here. Ah, Sarah Castiano, the outsider who thought she could join our world. Jin's voice held genuine curiosity. Tell me, did you really believe they would ever accept you? That they would allow a mere employee to marry into one of the 5 families? I never needed their acceptance, Sarah replied evenly. Just his. How romantic. And now that devotion will get you both killed. Marcus cut in. You've delivered your message, Jean. Is there anything else? Or are you just wasting our time while your men try to trace this call? A soft laugh. Always the strategist. Very well. I'll leave you to your final hours together. But know this, by sunrise, every Castiano property will be under my control. Every Castiano ally will have switched sides, and everyone who stands with you will share your fate. The line went dead. Leo looked up from his terminal. They were trying to trace the call. Almost got a partial location before we terminated. Marcus turned to Sarah. Their earlier disagreement forgotten in the face of this direct threat. We need to move quickly. The warehouse won't stay secure for long. Sarah was already pulling up building schematics on a nearby terminal. I've been preparing contingencies for exactly this scenario. Safe houses, escape routes, identities. Not for running, Marcus clarified, seeing Leo's concerned expression. For counterattacking. Sarah nodded, understanding perfectly. After 2 years as his wife, as his partner in every sense, she knew Marcus would never simply flee. It wasn't in his nature, and truthfully, it wasn't in hers either. Jean Young has one critical weakness, she said. He thinks he knows all the players on the board, but he's forgotten about the bishop. A ghost of a smile touched Marcus's lips. Jessica, Sarah confirmed, and what she found in the council's financial records last month. Leo looked confused. Jessica? Your civilian friend? What does she have to do with this? Sarah moved to a secure terminal, fingers flying across the keyboard. Jessica isn't just my friend. She's been working for us for the past year as a financial investigator. Without the council's knowledge, Marcus added, or anyone's outside of this room. Understanding dawned on Leo's face. The mysterious auditor who's been tracking money flows between the families. Exactly. Sarah pulled up encrypted files. Jean thinks he's covered his tracks, but Jessica found a pattern. Money moving from council accounts to offshore holdings, then filtering back through shell companies connected to Jin's personal enterprises. Marcus leaned over her shoulder, studying the data. He's been skimming from all 5 families for years, building his own power base outside the traditional structure. Not just skimming, Sarah pointed to specific transactions. Look at the dates. Each major withdrawal corresponds with a significant event: Alessandro Vitelli's assassination, the warehouse bombings in Brooklyn, the dock worker strike. Leo whistled low. He's been financing hits against his own allies, creating instability he could exploit, and blaming external threats, Marcus finished, all while positioning himself as the stable, traditional leader who could restore order. Sarah straightened. Jessica compiled everything into an encrypted file with irrefutable evidence. Account numbers, transaction records, communications. Enough to turn every family against Jean. Where is this file now? Leo asked. That's the problem. Sarah's expression tightened. Jessica was supposed to deliver it tonight. That's why she's not answering her phone. The implications settled heavily over the room. If Jean had discovered Jessica's investigation, if he had captured her or the evidence, Marcus was already moving. I need a team ready in 5 minutes. Full tactical gear. No. Sarah's voice cut through the command center. We can't trust anyone outside this room right now. Jean said it himself. By morning, every Castiano ally will have switched sides. She's right, Leo said grimly. The attack at Lumiere was too well coordinated. They knew security rotations, exit points, even the private dining room booking. That information came from inside. Marcus's expression darkened. So we trust no one. We trust each other, Sarah corrected. The 3 of us go. Small team, maximum mobility. Leo checked his weapon. What about Michael? Dr. Zhang will keep him stabilized, Marcus decided. Once we secure Jessica and the evidence, we'll move everyone to the backup facility upstate. Sarah pulled up a map of the city on the main display. Jessica lives in Brooklyn Heights. Assuming Jin's people traced her connection to us, that's where they'll be looking for the file. Or they already have her, Leo said what they were all thinking. Then we'll find her. Sarah's voice was steel. And if they've hurt her, they'll learn why I was the most feared operator in my unit. They moved quickly, gathering weapons, communications equipment, and tactical gear. Sarah changed into a black combat outfit that allowed maximum mobility while providing protection. Marcus similarly prepared, though his attire maintained a veneer of his usual elegance, a concession to the possibility they might need to move through public spaces unnoticed. As Sarah checked her weapons, Marcus approached, speaking low so only she could hear. "If Jean has Jessica." "I know." Sarah met his eyes. "But she's stronger than she looks, and smarter than all of us. That's what worries me," Marcus admitted. "If she refused to give up the information." Sarah didn't finish the thought. She didn't need to. They both knew what organizations like Jin's did to extract information. 20 minutes later, they were in a nondescript vehicle, approaching Jessica's neighborhood from an indirect route. Leo drove while Sarah monitored police frequencies and security cameras through a specialized tablet. "NYPD has nothing unusual reported in the area," she informed them. "No disturbances. No suspicious vehicles logged by the neighborhood security system." "That could be good," Leo offered. "Or it means they were professionals who didn't trigger any alarms," Marcus countered. They parked 3 blocks from Jessica's building, continuing the rest of the way on foot. Sarah led, moving with the fluid grace of someone who knew how to become invisible in urban environments. Marcus and Leo followed her lead, maintaining formation as they approached the upscale apartment complex. The night doorman recognized Marcus immediately. He had visited Jessica many times over the years of their friendship. "Mr. Castiano," he nodded respectfully. "Ms. Martinez isn't in this evening." Sarah stepped forward. "When did she leave, Carlos?" "Around 7. Said she was meeting someone for dinner." Carlos hesitated. She seemed nervous, though, not herself. Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances. "Did anyone come looking for her after she left?" Marcus asked. "No, sir." Carlos paused. "But there was a delivery. Security package that required her signature. When I explained she wasn't in, they said they'd return tomorrow." Sarah's posture shifted subtly. "What kind of security package?" "Didn't say." 2 men, very professional. Suits. I assumed it was related to her work. Marcus nodded casually, though Sarah could see the tension in his shoulders. "If you see them again, please call this number immediately." He handed Carlos a card with an untraceable number. "It's important." "Of course, Mr. Castiano." They took the elevator to Jessica's floor. The hallway was quiet, no signs of disturbance. Sarah produced a key Jessica had given it to her years ago for emergencies. "Stay behind me," she instructed, drawing her weapon. The apartment was dark and still when they entered. Sarah moved through the space methodically, checking each room before signaling it was clear. No signs of struggle, no evidence anyone had been there searching. "Everything looks normal," Leo observed. "Too normal." Sarah moved to Jessica's home office, examining the desk. Her laptop's gone. So is her external drive. Marcus checked the kitchen. Coffee cup half full, like she left in a hurry. Sarah was already accessing Jessica's hidden safe, concealed behind a framed photograph of the 2 friends at Sarah's wedding. Inside was a single burner phone. Sarah activated it, finding only 1 number in the contacts. She dialed, putting it on speaker. 3 rings, then a computerized voice. "Verification required." Sarah spoke clearly. "Blackbird Sunrise Delta 3. A pause, then, voice recognition confirmed. Message follows. "Sarah, if you're hearing this, I've activated Protocol 7. Evidence secured at the secondary location. Trust no one except Marcus and the Guardian Angel. 24-hour window from activation. After that, information releases automatically to all 5 families." The line went dead. Marcus exhaled sharply. "She's alive, and smart enough to go to ground when she sensed trouble," Sarah added, relief evident in her voice. "Protocol 7? Secondary location? Guardian Angel." Leo looked between them. "What does that mean?" Sarah was already moving. "Protocol 7 is our emergency contingency. If either of us feels we're in danger, we go off-grid completely. The secondary location is a safe house only the two of us know about. And the guardian angel? Marcus asked. Sarah met his eyes. That's you. It means she's not alone. She's with someone she trusts to protect her. Vincent, Marcus realized. My brother. Leo's eyebrows shot up. Your brother? The one who's been in Milan for the past 3 years? The one who publicly denounced your marriage? The very same. Marcus's expression was complex. The public denunciation was cover. Vincent has been our eyes and ears in Europe, tracking Jin's international connections. And apparently he's back in New York, Sarah added. Jessica must have contacted him when she realized how dangerous the information she uncovered was. Leo shook his head, processing this revelation. So Jessica and Vincent are hiding with evidence that could destroy Jean Young. Jin's men are hunting them. And we have less than 24 hours before the information goes public and potentially triggers a war between all 5 families. That about sums it up, Sarah confirmed, already heading for the door. The secondary location is a cabin in the Catskills. 4 hours from here if we push it. As they moved back toward the elevator, Marcus's phone vibrated with an incoming text. His expression darkened as he read it. What is it? Sarah asked. Jean. He showed her the screen. Your father's condition has worsened. Perhaps you should be at his side for his final hours, rather than chasing ghosts. Sarah's jaw tightened. He's trying to split us up, force us to choose between Jessica and your father. Or he's telling the truth, Leo said quietly. If your father dies while Jin's people control access to him, the succession becomes even more complicated, Marcus finished. And Jin's claim to be acting for the stability of all 5 families grows stronger. They reached the ground floor, the elevator doors opening to reveal the lobby. Carlos was nowhere to be seen. Instead, 4 men in suits stood by the entrance, their posture and alertness immediately identifying them as threats to Sarah's trained eye. She stepped in front of Marcus, hand moving toward her concealed weapon. Back up, she whispered. Service elevator. Too late. One of the men spotted them, gesturing to his companions. All 4 turned, reaching beneath their jackets in a synchronized movement. Sarah moved instantly, pushing Marcus and Leo behind a decorative column as the first shots shattered the lobby's quiet elegance. She drew her weapon, returning fire with precision. 2 on the left, 2 right, she called out. Leo, cover the right. Leo moved to a position behind a sofa, firing at the attackers on the right side of the lobby. Marcus provided additional coverage, his shots measured and deliberate. The gunfight was brief but intense. When it ended, all 4 attackers were down, but Leo was clutching his side where a bullet had grazed him. We need to move. Sarah was already checking the entrance. That was just the advance team. More will be coming. Carlos? Marcus asked, glancing toward the empty security desk. Sarah quickly checked behind the counter. No body. Either he left before they arrived, or they're holding him somewhere. They exited through a service entrance, moving quickly through back alleys until they reached their vehicle. Leo's wound wasn't serious, but Sarah bandaged it efficiently while Marcus drove. We need to split up, Marcus said as they reached a main road. Jin's expecting us to go either to my father or to find Jessica. He'll have men watching both locations. I'll go to your father, Leo offered. I can get in through medical channels. Assess the situation. Ensure his security. Marcus nodded. Sarah and I will find Jessica and Vincent. Once we have the evidence, we'll have leverage to force Jean into the open. And if Jin's men catch any of us before then? Leo asked. Sarah checked her weapons methodically. They won't. They dropped Leo at a location where one of the few remaining trusted Castiano associates would transport him to New Jersey. Before parting, Marcus gripped his lieutenant's shoulder. Be careful. Trust no one inside the facility. Not until you've verified their loyalty personally. I'll protect your father with my life, Leo promised. Once they were alone, driving north toward the Catskills, Sarah finally asked the question that had been hanging between them. Do you think Vincent is truly on our side? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. The public rift between us was strategic. A way to place someone Jean wouldn't suspect in a position to gather intelligence. But 3 years is a long time to maintain a deception, Sarah finished. People change. Loyalties shift. Vincent always wanted what was best for the family. We just disagreed on what that meant. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. If he's with Jessica, if he's helping her protect that evidence, then I have to believe he's still the brother I trusted. Sarah reached over, placing her hand over his. Then we proceed with hope, but prepare for betrayal. Like we always do. The drive through darkened highways gave them time to plan, to prepare for various scenarios they might face. Sarah checked in with trusted contacts, gathering intelligence on Jin's movements, on the status of various Castiano holdings across the city. The penthouse has been seized, she informed Marcus grimly. The gallery too. Jin's moving faster than we anticipated. He knows we have something on him. He's trying to consolidate power before we can use it. They were less than an hour from the Catskills when Sarah's burner phone rang, the one connected to Jessica's emergency protocol. Sarah, Jessica's voice was tense, hurried. Are you secure? As secure as we can be. Marcus is with me. We're headed to you now. Change of plans. We can't stay here. Vincent spotted Jin's men in the nearest town, asking questions. Sarah's body tensed. Where are you going? The island. Vincent's contact is meeting us with a boat in 20 minutes. Jessica's voice dropped lower. Sarah, the evidence. It's worse than we thought. Jean hasn't just been stealing and arranging hits. He's been working with the federal prosecutor's office, trading information for immunity. Marcus, listening to the call on speaker, swore under his breath. He's setting up all 5 families for a RICO case, Jessica continued, positioning himself to emerge as the only one untouchable by prosecution. How far along is this plan? Sarah asked. Advanced stages. The indictments are ready, just waiting for Jin's signal. Marcus and Sarah exchanged looks of shock. This wasn't just a power play within the 5 families. It was an existential threat to the entire structure that had governed their world for generations. We'll meet you at the island, Sarah decided. 2 hours maximum. Be careful, Jessica urged. Vincent says Jin's called in every favor, every connection. There are eyes everywhere. After hanging up, Marcus immediately adjusted their route. The island was a private property in the middle of Lake George, owned through so many shell companies that even the most determined investigation would struggle to connect it to the Castiano family. If Jean is working with the feds, Sarah said slowly, that explains the military-grade equipment his team was using at Lumiere. Those weren't just hired guns. Some of them might have been federal agents, Marcus agreed, the implications spreading before them like a dark map. Using the attack as cover to gather intelligence, plant bugs, perhaps even eliminate problems within my organization that might complicate their case. This isn't just about succession anymore, Sarah realized. Jean is orchestrating the complete dismantling of the traditional power structure, creating chaos he can rebuild in his image with federal backing. Marcus's expression hardened, and sacrificing everyone else to prison or death in the process. They drove in tense silence, both processing the magnitude of what they faced. This was beyond family politics, beyond even the bloody business of succession. This was betrayal at a level that threatened everyone connected to the 5 families. As they approached Lake George, Sarah spotted headlights behind them, maintaining distance but matching their every turn. We've got a tail, she informed Marcus, already reaching for her weapon. At least 2 vehicles. Marcus accelerated, the powerful engine responding instantly. How did they find us? Sarah checked the car methodically, running her hands beneath the dashboard, along the seats. Her fingers found what she was looking for beneath the passenger seat, a small tracking device. Planted at the warehouse, probably, she said, crushing it beneath her boot. The question is, did they track us specifically, or did they tag all vehicles as a precaution? Either way, we can't lead them to Jessica and Vincent. Sarah checked the road ahead on her tablet. There's a service road 2 miles ahead. Pull off there. Marcus maneuvered the car off the main highway onto a narrow access road, cutting the headlights as they entered the dense tree cover. Behind them, the pursuing vehicle slowed, clearly searching for where they had turned. "They don't have visual," Sarah confirmed. "Just the tracker, which is now dead. They'll split up, search the side roads. That's what I'm counting on." Sarah removed additional weapons from a hidden compartment. "Drop me here. Continue to the lake. I'll handle our followers and meet you there." Marcus's jaw tightened. "We stay together. We don't have time to argue strategy." Sarah's voice was firm. "Jessica and Vincent are exposed. They need you there to verify the evidence, to make decisions about how to use it. I'm trained for exactly this scenario." Their eyes met in the darkness of the car, a silent communication born of years together, as bodyguard and client, as husband and wife, as partners in a world that had never wanted their union to succeed. "2 hours, Marcus finally said. "If you're not at the island by then, I will be." She kissed him hard, quick. "I didn't keep you alive for 4 years just to lose you now." Sarah slipped from the vehicle, disappearing into the forest with the silent efficiency that had made her legendary in her former life. Marcus watched the space where she had vanished for a long moment before continuing toward the lake, alone. Behind him, in the darkness, Sarah positioned herself above the service road. The first vehicle appeared minutes later, moving slowly with spotlights scanning the dense forest on either side. She counted 4 men inside, heavily armed. "Too many to come after just us," she whispered to herself. "They must know about Jessica and the evidence." The second vehicle appeared shortly after, maintaining distance from the first. Standard tactical approach for a search pattern. Sarah's mind calculated angles, positions, options. In her years protecting Marcus, she had learned to balance her military training with his world's approach to problems. Sometimes direct confrontation was necessary. Sometimes misdirection was more effective. Tonight she would need both. She moved silently through the trees, placing small devices at strategic points along the road. Remote-triggered flashbangs, not lethal but disorienting. Then she positioned herself at the precise point where both vehicles would be within her range of influence. Sarah took a deep breath, centered herself, and pressed the detonator. The forest erupted in chaos. Blinding flashes, disorienting noise. Both vehicles swerved, the first crashing into a tree, the second sliding off the narrow road into a shallow ditch. Before the men could recover, Sarah was moving. The first vehicle's occupants were still stunned when she reached them. 2 quick shots disabled their radio equipment. A smoke grenade through the broken window ensured they remained disoriented. The second vehicle's team was recovering more quickly. Sarah heard them calling out positions, establishing a perimeter. They were trained military or law enforcement, confirming her suspicions about Jin's federal connections. "Sierra team, report status." A voice crackled over their radio. "Do you have visual on targets?" "Negative," came the response. "Possible ambush situation. Requesting backup." Sarah moved silently around their position, gathering intelligence. For men, tactical gear, communication with an operations center. This wasn't just a pursuit. It was a coordinated operation, with significant resources. She needed to create a diversion, something that would draw attention away from the lake, give Marcus time to reach Jessica and Vincent. But these weren't ordinary hired guns. These were professionals who wouldn't be easily distracted. Sarah smiled grimly in the darkness. Professionals had protocols. Protocols could be exploited. She activated her own communication device, tuning to their frequency. In her best approximation of their clipped, professional tone, she transmitted, "Sierra Actual to command. Target spotted heading southwest on Highway 9. Requesting air support for interception." The response was immediate. "Copy Sierra Actual. Diverting resources to Highway 9. Maintain pursuit if possible." From her position, Sarah could see the team leaders conferring, checking maps. They were suspicious. Protocol would have required authentication codes for such a transmission, but the possibility of losing their targets was too significant to ignore completely. They split their forces. 2 vehicles continued searching the service road area, while others were redirected to Highway 9 in the opposite direction from the lake. Sarah allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before focusing on her next challenge. neutralizing the remaining search team and reaching Marcus at the lake. The night was still young, and Jean Young's forces were still hunting. As she moved through the forest, a new message came through on her secure channel, not from Marcus, but from Leo. Sarah, it's worse than we thought. Your father-in-law isn't just being treated. He's being kept drugged, unresponsive. And the medical staff, they've been replaced. All of them. Jin's people. Her blood ran cold. Can you extract him? Negative. The security is too heavy. But I've confirmed something else. The vote tomorrow isn't just about Marcus's position. Jean has evidence prepared to implicate all the Castellanos in federal crimes. He's planning to eliminate the entire family line in one move. Hold position, Sarah instructed. We're meeting Jessica and Vincent now. Once we have the counter-evidence, we'll coordinate. There's one more thing. Leo's voice dropped lower. I found surveillance equipment in the treatment room. They're monitoring everything, waiting for Marcus to come. It's a trap. Of course it is, Sarah replied grimly. Everything tonight has been a trap. But now we know where all of them are. As she ended the transmission, Sarah spotted lights on the lake ahead, a boat moving swiftly toward the island. Marcus had arrived. Now she just needed to ensure his meeting with Jessica and Vincent remained secure.